The temperature is rising as summer looms, and things are heating up around the United States as Trump prepares for his military parade. And with this breaking story, no doubt President Taco's temperature is rising too. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. So if you've been watching the channel this week, and if you haven't, subscribe right now. What are you waiting for? Seriously. You know Donald Trump is having a very rough week. Trade talks have stalled and make him look like a fool. His attempt to use the military force against protesters in Los Angeles has made a star of California Governor Gavin Newsom, and a number of key indicators are signaling major warning signs for the economy. And yet, Trump is, no doubt, looking forward to his military parade, ostensibly to celebrate Flag Day and the anniversary of the U.S. military, but as we all know, it's really about his birthday. And tensions around the country are rising.
This as the fallout continues from those ongoing anti-ICE protests sparked by immigration raids in Los Angeles. Now, while in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, President Trump is planning a military parade. Now, he has said that any protesters there will be met with, quote, very big force. This comes as the battle over control continues out west. Now, a federal judge had ruled that President Trump acted illegally in deploying National Guard troops to Los Angeles, and that would have returned control back to California's Governor Gavin Newsom. But then an appeals court stopped that decision, and that allows the president's order to stay in place. This as protests continue across the country. Protests like what happened last night in Newark, New Jersey. They were outside an immigration detention center and accused officials of keeping migrants in poor conditions.
They had gone 20 hours without food and were given insufficient food for lunchtime, which happened around 3 o'clock. Some people got a single hot dog. I mean, it's inhumane.
And it gets worse. Stay with me here. Tensions aren't the only thing rising right now. So is the temperature in Washington, D.C., and that should have Donald Trump very worried.
Which this model run may show a few early showers, but we're really waiting for daytime heating to kick in, and then the heavy showers and thunderstorms develop. So the model with each run is showing a different solution, but the big picture is there for widespread showers and storms starting in the evening. This is at 6:30 during the parade, and you've got rain overhead. This could become some heavy thunderstorms through the evening. This would be a solution in which, probably worst case, you've got showers and storms over us all evening. And while that settles down overnight, we'll reset into Sunday, Father's Day, and we are expected to see the same thing.
Can't you just picture a bunch of American tanks caught in a thunderstorm, sliding all over the broken streets of Washington, D.C.? That's not the best look for America, especially with Trump presiding over it all. Do you suppose Trump has considered that maybe God is trying to send him a message? Flooding is possible, and I don't think the man is building an ark. And before you say that, oh, the thunderstorms will temper the protesters. No, they won't. Even if nobody showed up in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, and people still will, but even if D.C. remain vacant, there are protests planned in more than 1,500 cities nationwide. Americans are not happy with Trump. And the cracks are starting to show. Which brings us to this bit of breaking news. This morning, CNN evaluated 2 new polls. One from Quinnipiac, which we discussed earlier this week. See our other videos for more. But the AP also put out some new comprehensive polling, and it is truly troubling for Trump.
I think the simple word here is hurt. It has hurt Donald Trump's popularity. You can see it right here. We have 2 new polls, Quinnipiac University, AP Newark. I got the prior poll for you on the screen. I got the now. This is the net approval rating. You can see this in Quinnipiac, -12 to -16. How about AP Newark? -16 to -21. Awful, awful, awful for both of these pollsters. Where we are right now, both Quinnipiac and AP Newark, the worst for Donald Trump in this term so far. He is very much way underwater, at least in these 2 polls.
And this is overall approval. How about specifically on immigration?
Yeah, so immigration has been a strength for Donald Trump. That was why in the beginning of the week I said that Donald Trump wanted this fight. Maybe he shouldn't have wanted this fight. What are we talking about here? Let's take a look at the net approval rating for Donald Trump on immigration. You go back to June 1, he was at +4 points. Look at where he is now, -2 points in the aggregate. That is a drop of 6 points in only about 2 weeks' time. The only thing that's happened over the last 2 weeks is obviously Donald Trump's ramped up immigration hawkish agenda. And at least at this particular point, the American people are saying, no, we do not like that. And they have turned against the president on his core strength issue of immigration. He is now underwater on the issue that has been strongest for him.
A bit of a turn, but it is happening this weekend. This weekend is the big military parade that the president, we know, has been pushing for and is getting this time to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. There's been a lot of back and forth about concerns over cost and simply how much the hardware and military tanks are going to weigh and could they damage even the roads. But still, it's moving ahead. But how are people feeling about it?
Yeah, you know, if immigration has not helped Donald Trump, maybe he wants to change the subject to this military parade. But take a look here. Government funds for the military parade, a good use of funds? Only 38% say yes, it is a good use of funds. How about not a good use? 60% say not a good use of funds. And get this, in the center of the electorate among independents, just 24% of independents say it is a good use of funds. This has simply been one of the worst polling weeks for Donald Trump that we've seen. You really only saw worse numbers around his 100th day. But at this particular point, Donald Trump is much more towards the trough of his popularity than the crest of it.
Let's see what next week brings.
Let's find out.
It's great to see you, Harry.
Nice
Thank
to see
you
you.
very much.
That's right, my beautiful viewers. Not only is Trump majorly underwater in 2 polls on every dang issue, including immigration and the economy, which were considered to be his 2 strengths, his overall approval rating has dropped 6 points in just under 2 weeks. That is astonishing. And it should signal major warning alarms, not just to Trump, but to the whole Republican Party. Americans do not want Trump's tariffs. They don't want his budget gutting public programs and giving tax cuts to the super rich. They don't want to waste money on this stupid military parade. They don't want masked commandos conducting immigration raids. They don't want the military deployed against protesters, and they sure as hell don't want a war with Iran. And as we are airing this report right now, U.S. military forces are moving toward Iran, hopefully just as a precaution, not as a prelude to invasion. That would be a disaster for Trump, who, at present, is struggling to make a deal to limit Iran's nuclear programs. The fact that the mood in the country has shifted so hard, so fast, and at the same time Gavin Newsom is emerging as a powerful Democratic leader, should terrify Republicans at all levels. Trump is leading the party and the nation off a cliff, and Americans will not stand for that. Keep your eyes turned to tomorrow's protests, and if you attend one, carry an American flag. Donald Trump does not represent the American spirit, and it's high time to remind him and the world what American patriotism really looks like. This is Occupy Democrats.